So this is what it means when someone has purchased a property under a trust and the loan is also under a trust, for the bank to ignore this lending that is under the trust in a very no BS way, no like buyer's agent, my client built like 5 properties under trust and he's only on $80,000 income, blah, blah, blah. And because there's a secret way to ignore the lending under trust, blah, blah, blah. So before I go to the drawing board, I'm actually working on this right now. I've got to approve with a lender. And disclaimer, not financial advice. So let's introduce the client, and obviously I'm going to name names for privacy reasons. I've got a client who is a medium-sized developer, been doing it for 15 years, and he's weathered the storm in terms of, all these big builders going bankrupt and stuff. He's pretty safe and pretty secure with contracts and, very decent developer. So basically right now, under his personal name, with him and his wife, 50-50, they got a $1.5 million unoccupied debt that is their prime place of residence. And then they also have an investment loan of $500K investment. Now the market value of this is pretty high. You would say the ownage of this property is about 60% LVR, which means 60% of the properties they have are this debt, which is $2 million. And both these properties are under personal names. Now going over to the properties purchased under a trust, which was about 10 years ago, they have 2 sets of properties. So one under that trust, which is ABC Trust, corporate trustee, proprietary limited, number 1. Okay, so this trust with a corporate trustee owns about 5 properties, 5 units. Obviously, they're a developer. The way they work is when they settle on a big development, for example, 16 units, they usually keep some left for themselves, for their family, for whatever reason. Now they have an existing debt. Obviously, they had it unencumbered before, but they drew out some debt. So about $1 million against a $5 million equity of property. The rental yield is 4.5%. Overall, this is positively geared. And going to their second property, they have a commercial property at the moment and is also owned under a trust, but this time is another trust. So it's ABC Trust, for example, number 2, under corporate trustee number 2. So another trust. The market value of this commercial property is $5.5 million and the lending on this is $1 million. And the yield on this, which is about 6 to 7%, and it's positively geared. Now, when it comes to the serviceability of this loan, I do agree to an extent to some of the advertorial buyer's agent out there that flog this basically loophole, is that for some major banks, they will include all the loans in terms of serviceability. For example, they'll take the personal debt, which is 1.5, which is over here, the $500K investment loan, which is 0.5, and they'll also add in the debt in the trust, which is 1 million here and 1 million here. Basically, they'll count in $4 million in terms of this client's liability in terms of serviceability. And again, I do agree with them that there are certain non-banks that would exclude the $1 million debt in this trust and the other $1 million debt in this trust because it's positively geared. That I do agree, and I found a lender for this client as well. But what I get fucking pissed off with these advertorials, spruiker buyers agents, where they always talk about this loophole where, you don't need, income to service your debt, buy under a trust and they can ignore it. They don't tell you the full story. These one-trick ponies don't tell you the full stories. And this is the full story. For the non-bank to ignore these 2 debts, which is $2 million, obviously, the income that this person needs to declare will be lower if they could ignore the $2 million, is that you need to have a trading trust for this entity which owns this property and then have a tax return already produced, okay? So which means they would have purchased this property already and 1 financial year have lapsed, and then they look at, okay, the rental income minus expenses and the rental, the expenses, whatever, becomes positive, where the accountant can sign off that this trading entity which operates the properties is trading profitably. Also for this as well. Rather than what they usually say is, come to me, you can't service a debt, that's okay, I'll find you a property, put the property under trust, and the bank would close their eyes and ignore it. That is not the freaking case. You need to have an existing property that's been trading under a trust for 12 months, have tax returns that show it does trade properly for them to ignore it. Not the fact that you're starting to buy a property and put it under a freaking trust and suddenly the bank goes, oh yeah, we'll just ignore it. Because I'm getting a lot of DMs lately where people say, hey, you're roasting these agents, these buyers agents, and it's legit that you can actually buy under trust, blah, blah, blah. You're discouraging how people lend money and blah, blah, blah. No, fucker. I'm trying to not get people into these spooky buyers agent, sales tactics for you to use their service, and then you use their accountant and they find you a property. They don't disclose the fact that for the bank to not count in that debt, you need to have an existing property that's been trading for 12 months with financial tax returns to say it's trading profitably. That is the freaking difference. That makes a huge difference. And it's not the fact that I'm dumb, I'm incompetent, that I can't do, the fact that some banks can ignore debts under trust. I do it, but I don't endorse it on this channel because there's a lot of first home buyers, first time investors that watch this, right? I don't want to encourage you to think that you can shortcut the process. If you can't service, you fucking can't service, all right? Just go get a better job, get more savings. You can't cut the process, all right, by going through some trusting that some buyer's agent said. Stop sending me videos of, some buyer's agent said it's possible. It's fucking not possible, all right? It's the only way that's possible. If you bought something, wait 12 months and then get the results from the tax return. And most likely, first home investors, you don't have that property, right? You just basically get sucked in to buy that and then eventually realize, oh shit, I've got to actually have 12 months of trading. And what if it doesn't produce a return? What if it doesn't produce a net profit where the accountant's happy to sign off? Well, you got sucked into buying that property. And what happens? You buy under trust, there's 0 CGT discounts. Like, you just got sucked in. I don't want to endorse that. So I'm not trying to discourage people from buying under trust. I'm just saying, if it's so easy, and all the clients that I said, oh, I'm sorry, you can't get a loan now, just save more money. Why don't I call all those thousands of clients that, couldn't get a loan and go, oh, babe, by the way, get a trust, man, get a trust, yeah, speak to my accountant, get a trust, sign a letter. Man, I'll be making fucking millions of dollars every month, right? Wouldn't I be that the smartest person in the world just to do that if it's so freaking easy to buy under trust and the bank will bloody ignore it? Anyway, I'm done with this. So stop sending me your freaking messages that I'm dumb and I'm incompetent. I'm spreading the fact that I'm not encouraging people to buy through a trust and it's so easy. The fact is, the accountant won't sign on the freaking accountant letter and do the tax returns if the numbers don't make sense. So first home buyers, first time investors, don't get sucked in. I'm done. And oh, by the way, on a positive note, this developer got the loan where the $2 million debt was ignored because he did the right thing, got the right property. But not a lot of people can do this. Now I'm really done. Bye.